At the beginning of the drama, we see the female lead, Qian. Her mom and sister have drugged her, leaving her unconscious. After that, her mom makes a call and says, "As per our deal, Qian is ready to spend the night with you. And don't forget your promise that you'll give us 2 million in return." But just then, Qian regains consciousness and pleads with her mom, saying, "I'm your daughter, and I haven't even graduated from college yet. Please don't do this to me." Her mom coldly responds, "You're not my biological daughter. I've raised you for 20 years, so now it's time for you to repay me." With that, they both leave, and Qian, still dazed from the drugs, starts to leave as well. Then we see the male lead, Mr. Song Yubai. He is also intoxicated, and suddenly Qian bumps into him. Then they both start kissing and spend the night together. The next day, Song Yubai asks Qian about last night, and Qian says, "You promised to give me money." So he asks her how much she wants. She remembers what her mom said, and tells him, "Give me any amount." Then he gives her 200 million. Qian says, "I only need 2 million, which makes him happy. He says, "Keep all this, and if you want, I will marry you too." When he steps outside, his secretary asks him, "Why did you want to marry her?" He responds, "My mom once told me the sooner I get ready for marriage, she will give me the song group." Meanwhile, Qian checks the card and sees that it really has 200 million in it. At that moment, her mom calls and asks, "Where are you, and why haven't you gone to Sir Louis yet?" Qian thinks to herself, "I'm so unlucky." In the next scene, Qian goes to her mom, and her mom is furious. Qian asks, "If I give you 2 million, will you stop sending me to him?" Her mom laughs, but when she sees the 2 million, she starts treating Qian with a lot more respect. Later that night, Qian's parents are discussing who is behind all this and how can we get more money from him. Qian shows up there. She overhears all their talk and becomes very sad. So she calls Song Yubai and asks him, "Please come pick me up." He arrives at her place and takes her with him, but her sister sees this and tells their parents. On the other hand, Song brings Qian to his house. Qian tells him everything, and he says, "After we get married, I won't let anything happen to you." Qian replies, "But I haven't graduated yet, so you'll have to keep this a secret." Song agrees and says, "We'll go get the marriage certificate this week," and Qian feels excited. The next day, Qian arrives at the Song family office. Inside, her sister Ching Ching is with her boyfriend Liu. She tells him, "She's not my real sister and she ran away with an old man." Then she asks Qian, "Why are you here?" Qian responds, "I'm here for an internship." Ching Ching sarcastically asks, "What position, cleaning the floors or the toilets?" Qian calmly says, "Neither. I'm here as a friend." Ching Ching walks up to Qian and says, "That uncle is better for you." Qian then adds, "Is he your new boyfriend? But this one seems different from the guy you were with yesterday, and even the one from the day before that." As Ching starts to leave, her boyfriend gets angry and asks her, "Is this true? Do you have more boyfriends?" Ching Ching says, "Let me explain." Just then some guards arrive and say, "This is the song group, not everyone can join." Ching Ching explains that the man with them is Liu Dazhuang, the HR manager's son. Qian then asks the guards, "I am here to meet Mr. Song," but they laugh at her. Liu says to her, "Do you know Song Yubai? He's the second most powerful man in the Song family." Qian feels very happy to hear that Mr. Song is such a most powerful man. But Liu tells her, "Only important people from the Song family have seen him, and you're not even grown up yet. How could you have seen him?" Everyone around them starts mocking her. Qian says, "I'm telling the truth," and she calls Song Yubai. She tells him, "No one is letting me in, and they're calling me a liar." Song replies, "I'll send someone to pick you up." He tells the director, "Go and get her, and if anyone bullies her, feel free to expel them." Meanwhile, Liu's dad arrives and asks, "Who is this causing all this noise?" Liu tells his dad, "This girl says she wants to enter Sir Song's office and she's bullying Ching Ching." Liu's dad tells guards, "Kick her out of the office." Just then, Song's director arrives, and Liu's dad says, "Why you come here? I'll take care of this girl and kick her out." But the director slaps him and says, "How dare you speak to her like that?" Ching Ching says, "How could Qian be in love with that old man?" Liu's dad replies, "Maybe she's the director's lover." The director says, "Miss Qian is now the second master of Song family." The manager responds, "You don't need to use the master's name to protect your lover," but the director warns, "Maybe you want to be kicked out of the Song family." At that moment, third brother Mr. Shu arrives and asks, "What's all this noise?" The manager tells him, "The director is using the master's name to protect his lover and is ruining our reputation." Meanwhile, the secretary tells Mr. Song, "The third brother has gone down there too." Song decides to go get her himself. On the other hand, Shu says, "Kick the director and his lover out." The director replies, "I'm afraid you'll be the one kicked out of the company." Lu's dad says to Shu, she's definitely the director's lover, don't listen to him. At that moment, Song arrives and says, maybe you don't know what's coming. Then he adds, Director Lu, maybe you still don't know how to follow orders. Then Director Lu throws Ching Ching and Liu out. Liu's dad pleads, Sir Song, please forgive me, I had no idea. The director says, you're fired, now pack your things and leave. Qian says to Mr. Song, please let me get inside. Then Mr. Song brings her to his office and make her sit in his lap. On seeing them, the secretary reacts as if he has not seen anything and goes away from there making an excuse that he remembered some work. In the next scene, they both get their marriage certificate and Song says, now you're my legal wife. When Song gets home and shows his mom, she gets very angry and says, how could you marry this girl? She's not even worth the dirt on our shoes. Song replies, she's very good, and you don't know her at all. His mom says, you didn't think about your mother even once before marrying her. His brother chimes in, you're absolutely right. Mr. Song snaps, who gave you permission to speak? His mom says, I won't let anyone take control of the Song family, and you didn't even think of the family once. Song says, you don't know that not all girls are the same. As Song begins to leave, his mother calls after him, but he walks away thinking to herself, Song is like a blank piece of paper, overly emotional. I'll have to take matters into my own hands and expose Qian's intentions. The next day, a cleaner at Song's company wonders, how did Qian become a designer? At that moment, Qian's supervisor hands her some files and says, I don't know why Director Li sent you to my place. As the supervisor starts to leave, her foot hits a broom and her bracelet breaks. She angrily says, who told you to sweep here? Nearby, the manager overhears the conversation and quietly moves closer. The supervisor pushes the cleaner, causing her to fall, and says, even if you sold yourself, you couldn't afford this. Qian helps the cleaner up and sits her on a chair, but the supervisor, still angry, keeps talking about her bracelet. Qian says, I saw you break it yourself, so how can you blame her? The supervisor accuses her, you came in through the back door. Fang replies, that's not true. The supervisor continues, then leave. And my bracelet cost 200,000 yuan. You'll have to pay because it was made of fine ice jade. Qian examines the bracelet and says, the purity is 3 low. This can't be ice jade. It's made of bean jade and isn't expensive. The lady doesn't need to pay for it and you broke it yourself. The supervisor snaps, you haven't graduated yet and you don't know what ice jade is. I think you belong to the same group as this old woman. The cleaner, angry, says, you're a supervisor, so why are you so rude? The supervisor responds, you'll have to pay for this. But Qian refuses, saying, you broke it, not me. The supervisor turns to everyone and says, did you all see that? The crowd votes for the supervisor. The supervisor says, now both of you have to pay. Meanwhile, Song's secretary, who had been listening, goes to Song and tells him everything that happened. Furious, Song rushes to the scene. Chen says to the supervisor, I'm going to tell Mr. Song everything. The supervisor scoffs. Mr. Song is busy and he'll never listen to a girl like you. I'll give you 2 options. Either give me 200,000 yuan or I'll kick you out of the Song group. Chen looks worried. The older lady reassures her, you don't need to worry. I'm a major shareholder here, and no one can kick you out because I'm Song's mother. No one dares to take action against you. The supervisor says, you're just an old woman. She says to her, I have control of the HR department and I'll fire you today. The supervisor replies, are you going to fire me? I'll kick you out right now. She calls the guards and orders, get them out of here now. Just then, Song arrives and asks, what's going on here? The supervisor explains, one of these women claims to be your mother, so I'm throwing them out. Song calls them into his office and asks his mother, Mom, why did you come here pretending to be a cleaner? Qian says, I didn't know you were Mr. Song's mother. His mother says, is this the girl you married? Her background doesn't match ours at all, but she defended an old woman. She's very kind. Then she adds, I'm glad my son chose you. Qian says, Mr. Song's also very kind. He helped me so much. Then Mr. Song interrupts her in the middle. His mom says, once the banquet hall is available, I'll throw my birthday party. I'll announce that Chen is now my daughter-in-law. Chen says, I can't do that right now. His mother insists, why not? You're my daughter-in-law now. And Chen agrees. Song's mother then leaves. Song asks, why didn't you tell me about all this? Chen replies, I wanted to handle it myself since you've been keeping our relationship a secret too. Song calls her foolish. Chen asks, what is your mom like? Maybe we can give her something she likes for her birthday. Song says, we could get her something antique. She enjoys collecting antiques. Chen asks, do you know anyone who deals in antiques? Song responds, I think I know an accountant who does. In the next scene, they go to the antique shop. Then Zhang, the shop owner, arrives. Song tells him, it's my mom's birthday, and we're here to pick out an antique for her. This is my wife, and she'll choose the gift. Zhang says, feel free to look around and see what you like. Qian says, there's nothing here that seems suitable for an elder. Zhang replies, let me take you to the inner room. You might find something there. As they enter, Song says, Qian, you're really lucky. Zhang doesn't take just anyone to his inner room. Zhang says, everything here has been auctioned. Qian picks out an antique, and Zhang comments, your wife has a great eye for antiques. This one is the most expensive. Qian responds, I chose this because of its color, and please don't make such remarks about me. Song laughs and says, you even figured out that supervisor's bracelet. Qian explains, I noticed it had very little shine, so I knew something was off. Zhang says, Miss Song will really like this antique, and you have great knowledge about the antique business. In the next scene, Song's brother is angry and asks his servant, does my mom like that girl now? The servant says, don't get angry. He responds, if my mom likes her, she'll arrange her marriage with the second brother and all the shares of Song Group will go to him. The servant says, I'll keep an eye on them. Song's brother asks, what are they doing? The servant answers, they went to Mr. Zhang's antique shop to buy a birthday gift for the old lady. Song's brother says, send an invitation to Qian's parents and tell them it was from the second brother. The greedy and shameless Qian's family will make my mom reconsider Qian for the second son. In the next scene, Qian's stepmother says to Qing, the Song family sent us an invitation, and they'll choose you. You'll need to behave well with them if you want to be accepted into the Song family. Qing replies, I'll do anything to win the second master over. Qing's dad says, my daughter will manage it. She's very beautiful. Next, we see the party scene where a girl says, these wealthy girls can't compete with Supervisor Shen. Shen thinks, today I have to impress Mr. Song's mother for my future with Song Group. Just then, the door opens and Old Lady and Qian enter. A girl asks, did we invite them? They'll leave the company in 2 days. Another girl says, Qian, are you and this old lady a team? Song's birthday party, a high occasion, and you brought this cleaner with you. I think you rented those expensive dresses. Shen says, people who have never seen the world are always like this. They're just looking for a chance to attend these kinds of parties. Wasn't Mr. Li enough for you to sleep with? Qian, in anger, says to Shen, who gave you the right to call your boss by their first name? Shen responds, you broke my bracelet last time and didn't even compensate for it. What do you think, that I'll just let it go? I could report you for crashing this party, and Song's family would throw you out. Just then, Qian's mother-in-law slaps Shen and scolds her angrily. Qing, watching all of this, thinks, how can she be here? Song's mom says, Qian is Song family's second young mistress. She is Mrs. Song, the CEO of Song Group, and your jobs are in her hands. Shen asks, Madam President, are you the CEO? Qing then arrives and says to Qian, so you are getting better in bragging. She then tells Shen, she's an orphan. The Feng family adopted her 20 years ago. Qian says, Qing, what you are saying here? Qing replies, I saw you with that old man. Then Shen begins insulting Qian, and she calls for security to have them removed. Qian says, this isn't a company, it's Mrs. Song's birthday party. I'm a guest, and you can't kick us out. Shen says, you're just pretending. How could Mr. Song invite you? Qing asks, we all have invitation cards. Do you have one? Qian says, I don't have a card. And then everyone starts criticizing them. Song's mom says, since Chen left the Feng family, she's different from all of you. She doesn't need invitation cards to come to the Royal Hotel. Shen laughs and says, are you Madam Song? You're just pretending. Then she calls the guards and tells them to kick them out. Then Mr. Song arrives and says, stop it. Everyone starts behaving well. Qing and Shen try to approach him, but he pushes them back and says to Shen, what were you just saying? Kick them out? Shen replies, they don't have an invitation card. I was trying to avoid creating trouble. He says, I invited you here for my mom's party. Shen responds, I also came to meet Mrs. Song. I spent 3 months selecting a gift for her. Song's mom says, you didn't select a gift. For 3 months, you just wanted to put Mrs. Song down. Song says, open this gift in front of everyone. Shen opens the gift and says, this is from Mr. Zhang's antique collection. She then says to Qian, what did you prepare? Show us so everyone can appreciate it. Qian replies, you probably don't know much about jade antiques. Shen asks, what do you mean? Qian says, this is fake. Shen says, what are you talking about? This is from Zhang's collection. Qian explains the qualities of real jade, and Shen says, do you think everyone will believe you? Then Qian opens her box and shows her real jade. Shen says, our gifts are the same. I showed mine first, so you created a scene saying mine was fake, just so you wouldn't feel embarrassed opening yours. Chen says, Mr. Zhang personally gave this to me. The man says, Chen's looks real. Chen says to Shen, it took you 3 months to buy yours, so let's call Mr. Zhang and everything will be proven. Shen starts to panic and says, we shouldn't disturb Mr. Zhang. Shen blames everything on Qian and is about to slap her, but Mr. Song grabs her hand and pushes her away. Then he pulls Qian close and introduces her as his wife to everyone. Qing is shocked and approaches Song saying, how can Mr. Song's wife be her? Song's mom takes Qian to the stage and says, this is my daughter-in-law, the wife of the president of Song Group. Shen asks, is all of this true? Song's mom calls the guards to have everyone else escorted out. Then Song's brother Yang arrives, and Mr. Song's mom asks, why did you arrive now? He replies, I heard about my sister-in-law's opinion about jade, so I came to admire it. Then he tells everyone, Qian likes to collect jades and antiques. Before Qian says anything, Mr. Song says, today my wife is meeting all of you for the first time. Why do you all want to slander her? His brother says, what's so embarrassing about it? It's a skill. Qian says, I don't have professional knowledge. I only have basic knowledge. Yang, however, starts asking Chen more questions about jades. Mr. Song interrupts and says, Yang, today is my mom's birthday. Why are you talking here about jade? Chen thinks to herself, is he doing all this just to target me? She then says, all right, I'm agreed to identify the jade, and apologizes to Song's mom, saying, I'm so sorry so many incidents are happening on your birthday. Song's mom replies, I'm confident you'll handle everything. Then, a man steps forward to examine the hook of the jade and says, is this jade hook real? Ken says, yes, Mr. Zhang gives me personally. But the man says, this hook is fake. Everyone starts saying, Miss Cain lied to us. Song says, did Mr. Zhang give us a fake jade hook? The man denies it, saying he never gives fake items to anyone. Qian questions, how can this jade be fake? The man replies, I have an experience, and I can confidently say this jade is fake. Song confronts the man, saying, can you repeat what you just said? The man looks at Song's brother, who signals him to speak. Reluctantly, the man admits the jade is fake. At that moment, Mr. Zhang arrives. Song turns to Chen and says, I didn't want people to misunderstand you when all this mess happened. That's why I messaged Mr. Zhang. Mr. Zhang scolds the man, making him feel embarrassed. Mr. Zhang then reveals, I personally gave this jade to Song's wife. Am I incapable of recognizing my own belongings? The man pleads with Yang, save me. Mr. Song tells Yang, apologize to Qian. Yang then apologizes, and Qian forgives him. Mr. Zhang also throws the man out from the antique world. Qian thanks Mr. Zhang. Afterward, Mr. Zhang praises Qian for her abilities to appreciate jade and antiques. Meanwhile, Yang grows jealous seeing Mr. Song, Qian, and Mr. Zhang together. In the next scene, Mr. Song and Qian are in the bedroom. Qian is talking about Mr. Zhang, but Song pulls her closer and starts kissing her. The following day, Qian is working when Mr. Zhang visits her. He praises her work. Then Mr. Song arrives. Mr. Zhang leaves with him, discussing something privately. Later, Qian is sleeping, and Mr. Song sitting beside her. Suddenly, Mr. Song gets a call. Someone tells him, we've found information about Qian's parents. Mr. Song learns that Mr. Zhang is Qian's father. Meanwhile, the third brother, Yang, also informed that Qian's father is no one else but Mr. Zhang, and he got angry upon hearing this. On the other hand, Mr. Song's secretary explains, 20 years ago, Mr. Zhang's wife was gravely ill, and Miss Qian went missing. Because of that, she couldn't handle the grief. Mr. Song gives him DNA samples of Qian and Mr. Zhang and tells him to get it tested. At home, Mr. Zhang brings a customer to buy Qian's designs. The customer praises her designs and invites her to an auction event. When Mr. Song comes home, Qian tells him that Mr. Zhang's customer liked her designs and invited her to an auction event. Mr. Song thinks to himself, you will be very happy when you know that Mr. Zhang is your father. In the next scene, they attend the auction event where various items are being auctioned. When it's time for a specific jar, Qing arrives and says, this jar is fake. Everyone is shocked. Qing then remembers a flashback scene where Third Master Yang comes and tells her, we find that Qian is Mr. Zhang's biological daughter. If you want to break her relationship with the Song family, you have to go to today's auction event and pretend that you are Mr. Zhang's daughter. He gives them a check for 50 million and says, I'll prepare all the evidence for this. Qing then tells Qian, everything you have in your life you stole from me, and you're not some antique genius either. Just then, Mr. Song's mom says, wasn't the mess you caused at my birthday party enough? Now you've come here to ruin the auction event too. But Qing pretends to be emotional and says to Mr. Zhang, do you know? 20 years ago, your daughter went missing at Campaign Square. That daughter is me. Mr. Jiang, moved by her words, gets emotional. Afterward, Qing accuses Qian, not only did you steal my antique appreciation degree, but now you're trying to steal my father too. Then she shows everyone a fake degree, which was made by Mr. Yang. Just then, Mr. Yang arrives with Qing's parents and says, Qian has been pretending to be weak all this time to fool the Song family. Mr. Song then says to Yang, I already knew you would show up here. Mr. Jiang asks, what is going on here? Mr. Song explains, when you told me that your daughter went missing 20 years ago, I got suspicious. So I secretly started investigating, and I found out that Qian is your daughter. Mr. Yang questions, but do you have any evidence to prove that? Mr. Song replies, no, I don't have any evidence. Mr. Yang says, but I do. I have evidence that Qing is Mr. Jiang's daughter. At that moment, Qian asks Mr. Song, is Mr. Jiang really my father? Mr. Yang interrupts, let me clear up all your confusion right now. Then Qing's mom says, Mr. Jiang, Qing is the girl we adopted 20 years ago. We tried to find her biological parents, but when we saw the photo you post on internet, we realized that Qing is your biological daughter. Suddenly, Mr. Song gets a message from his secretary and turns to Mr. Yang saying, to prove a biological relationship, you can't just make up a false story, but you also need to show some real evidence. Qing's father says, we have photos from Qing's childhood. Qing's mom shows Mr. Jiang the pictures, and when he compares them with the photo in his pendant, he realizes that Qing is indeed his daughter. Mr. Yang questions again, brother, do you still think Qian is Mr. Jiang's biological daughter? Mr. Song replies, not only do I think so, but I also have evidence to prove it. Just then, Mr. Song's secretary arrives and hands Mr. Jiang a DNA test report. Mr. Jiang reads it and discovers that not Qing but Qian is his biological daughter. He says to Qian, I'm sorry, I didn't recognize you. Overjoyed with the news, Qian becomes very happy. Qing's parents then fall at Mr. Jiang's feet begging, please forgive us, sir. We didn't know Qian was your daughter. Mr. Song responds, you can explain everything to the police now. Qing and her parents then plead with Mr. Yang to save them, but Mr. Yang refuses to help. After returning home, Mr. Song's mom scolds Yang and says, you're no longer a part of the Song family. She kicks him out of the family, and with that, this drama comes to an end. If you enjoyed our video, please subscribe to our channel.